Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings.
Ho Chi Minh City, a city that's buzzing with life. At first glance, it feels like a place that's emerging, thriving, and constantly moving forward. And maybe that's exactly what we needed after a few rough months juggling personal and professional chaos. Quitting a toxic job, apartment hunting in a landlord's market, moving houses without any help, and setting up a place we could finally call home. So naturally, we were hoping that the first stop on our long awaited trip would be peaceful, rejuvenating, even a little indulgent. But the city had other plans for us.
Now the morning is the afternoon.
On day one, we visited the Central Post Office, the War Remnants Museum, and the Independence Palace. That day, we learned that Vietnam was ruled by the Chinese for over 1,000 years. Therefore, when they finally gained independence, it was short lived. The French colonized them next, for nearly another century. And just when they thought freedom was within reach, the country became a pawn in the Cold War, torn between the communist North, supported by the Soviet Union, and the South, backed by America. The war that followed was devastating. Napalm, Agent Orange, chemical warfare, unimaginable suffering. Even decades after the war, children were being born with birth defects due to chemical exposure. The last documented generation affected was 1997. We even met a 90-year-old freedom fighter, smiling, joyful, full of life. A man who had seen more pain than we could ever imagine but chose joy anyway. That hit hard. Then came the Kochi tunnels. Nothing could have prepared us for what we saw there. Narrow, claustrophobic passageways built underground, not just to hide, but to live. The Vietnamese soldiers created entire lives down there. They cooked, slept, gave birth, and even planned war strategies inside cramped, dark tunnels with little ventilation and barely any light. Some stayed hidden for so long they didn't even know the war had ended. Many came out with skin diseases, eye problems, and permanent trauma. There were traps, brutal, ingenious, hidden in the ground, on doors, even on rooftops, all to protect their families, their people, their country, and their future. Therefore, their resilience wasn't just admirable, it was unimaginable. The next morning, before diving into another layer of Vietnam's history, we made a quiet stop at a Buddhist monastery. And in that moment, the world felt still. Nestled away from the chaos of the city, it was a space that felt suspended in time. There was a gentle breeze in the air, the scent of incense lingering, and the soft murmurs of prayers echoing through the halls. We saw people lighting candles, bowing their heads, and offering prayers. not in grand gestures, but in silent, grounded faith. There was something profoundly peaceful about being in a place where people come with hopes, with grief, with gratitude, and left feeling lighter. It made me wonder, how do people who have suffered so much still find space in their hearts for peace, prayer, and for faith? But maybe that's the answer. Therefore, their healing began not after the war ended, but in those moments of quiet belief in something bigger than themselves. That monastery visit gave us a much needed moment to pause, reflect, and realign. Day 2 took us to Mekong Delta, a vital waterway that flows from China through Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and finally into Vietnam. It's not just a river, it's a lifeline, supporting agriculture, fishing, and transport for millions of people. But more than its economic role, it also holds deep cultural and historical value for Vietnam. And there, on that boat, floating between water palms and village life, we saw how life in Vietnam doesn't just fight to survive, it flows, gently but with strength.
Bạn thờ năm ngoái tới giờ mới gặp nhau vậy hai bên chuyện trò.
We happened to be in Vietnam just before their 50th Independence Day. And honestly, that timing couldn't have been more perfect. Everywhere we went, schools, streets, cafes, people were celebrating. Even on a trip so deeply eye opening, we had our little pockets of joy.
We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the candle take us
Because that's the thing about Vietnam. It doesn't just teach you about history, struggles, or resilience. It also reminds you to live in the now. We spent hours just strolling through the streets of Ho Chi Minh, wandering into hidden cafes with the aroma of fresh coffee and soft acoustic music playing in the background, sipping the strongest Vietnamese iced coffees that jolts you awake, not just in your body, but in your spirit. We laughed, we shared meals that were unfamiliar but comforting. These moments, the joy, the simplicity, the connection, they weren't separate from the story. They were because of it. Because after everything this country has been through, the people still choose joy. And so did we. That's what Vietnam gave us. Not just lessons in history, but reminders of the present, of how beautiful life can be when you carry both pain and joy with grace. When you don't just survive, but live fully. And that maybe is what we'll carry with us forever.